Hey there, everyone. Welcome to my Spark Saturdays. This is done on a 12 by 12 canvas. I wasn't really sure where I was going with this. I kind of never do. As Rose already knows, one of my awesome viewers. So I found this video, I guess you could say, where you use the icing food coloring mixed with water in little spray bottles. And then basically that's it. You spritz it and it becomes kind of like those alcohol inks. Well, I'm a cheapo and I can't afford those, and this was, I mean, a fraction of the price. So here, I never used this gold. It's like a wax almost, or oil. It's kind of weird. I can't put anything over it. It doesn't want to stay. When I spray my sprays that I made over the top of it, the sprays don't really dry. They kind of just stay sticky. I kind of just felt like this needed to be here. That's pretty much it. I don't really have a reason why this was here, but I'm kind of liking the gold with my other colors in the background. So I wasn't really sure where uh, or how far to go down, so I just kind of do it until I feel like it's right. And the brush, I have not found a good way to clean my brush after using this. So I kind of tend to just keep this brush with that oil paint. And I'll have to put a link below to what this is called exactly. And if I find a way to clean my brushes better, I'll add that as well. See, I wanted more of a, this is my brown mixture that I made. I wanted kind of an antique rustic type look, but you see how when I spray it over the gold, it just kind of wants to uh, kind of like I put Rain-X on there. It doesn't want to flow like I needed it to. So just making those colors a little darker, but I definitely have to let this dry for a long time. So when you seen it, the canvas was blank. I sprayed it. I let it dry overnight. That's how long I needed it to dry, because if not, it'll just spread around, and I didn't want that to. But I like how it looks because it overnight it all kind of blends together as well, but still staying separate. So here I'm just trying to figure out what colors I want to do, where I want it to be a little darker. But I kind of like my wax being the way that it is. So off camera, I was playing around with some of my stamps that I have. I kind of wanted a little bit of the swirlies coming out of the background, and that really cool kind of clock one in the middle. I wanted them to show up a little better, but the texture of the canvas didn't really allow for the stamp and ink to apply like I wanted it to. These, I feel like they are from like the back of canvases that a lot of the canvases come with whenever I order them. I don't ever use them. I don't need them. So I keep them because I like to stain them and use them in a lot of my projects. I never really knew what I was going to use them for, but I've had them for years, and I finally found a purpose for them, and they look awesome. This is another little wax thing. I think it's from Waverly or something, but I got it at Walmart. I was looking for a way to distress my paints because I have a client that likes her rose paintings to look old. So I got this to see how it would work on top of the paintings. And it really works for a lot of things. As you can see, I'm painting this, and it's not just like a brown paint. It actually looks like I've stained the wood afterwards, because you can see um, the grain in the wood. And I wanted to make sure that my wood pieces were not all facing the same way either. I don't know if you can hear that, but my kids are calling me in the background. So while I'm painting these, I will tell you about this seashell carpet looking thing. Well, that's right there. I actually got that at the Dollar Tree when we moved to Nashville. Before we moved into this house. We had gotten rid of a lot of our stuff. Well, we needed a bath mat, and I found that at the Dollar Tree, and it was just for temporary use, so I decided to use it for this. And it actually works. It helps not have everything be all over my table. This stuff is actually a lot easier to use than a stain. I was going to use a stain on these, but I like this better because even though it's all over my fingers, it doesn't actually stain my fingers. I can wash it off with just soap and water, which is, of course, really nice in crafting because, you know, a lot of times it gets everywhere. I'm surprised it's not all over my hands. So here I have already kind of selected the items I want to use. I'm not completely sure of the things I want to use, but I kind of pulled out a bunch of pieces off to the side. Um, I mean, as you can tell, I still have my little flower 3D stickers up there. This is just some twine I've got laying in my garage. I decided to pull some off and kind of just throw it on there and glue it down. I'm okay with a little bit of the glue showing. I kind of feel like it makes it a little more handmade. I'm okay with that. I like it. I don't want it to look like it's store-bought because it's not. It is handmade, and I want people to know that. I'm going to leave this little picture frame looking thing blank because I'm taking this to the art show with me. I'm hoping somebody will purchase it. If not, that's okay. It will be available on my Etsy shop. But I want to leave it blank because that will be for whoever wants to buy it to display their own picture or maybe like a monogram type thing, something like that. So this that I'm putting in there now, I found a package of straws. I think there was 8 straws in there. It was right after Valentine's Day. I got the straws for, I believe it was like 25 cents. So of course I had to get it. I just gessoed it real lightly, nothing crazy, just so you can, I didn't want it to be completely white. I wanted you to be able to still see a little bit of the hearts, but not be pure black and white hearts. That's all I did. I cut it to the length I wanted it, um, and you can see I used hot glue, and that was about it. Those are pretty simple. I wanted it short enough just to show out of one side of the picture frame piece. And this that I'm putting in there now is just a piece of cardboard. There is nothing to it with some gesso on it. And you can see when I pushed it up underneath that straw, it actually scraped, which is totally fine. And see, there's the straw again. There is a viewer that asks me, she wants to know my process, and I keep saying I don't really have a process. I just kind of go with how it how I feel, how it looks. I just kind of turn some music on and just go for it. If I see a piece in my bag or in my items, and I like it, I pull it out. If I like the texture of it, or it's just a piece I really want to use, like the lollipop, I have no idea where I would ever use that lollipop. Um, it doesn't look like me. It's not my style. There's nothing about it. But for some reason, I was going to get rid of it. And I was like, no, I know I can use it for something. And for some reason, it came out in this piece. And you'll see me. I'm going to gesso it and use some sprays on top of it. But it looks nice right there where it is. Maybe not the color, but I like the shape of it and the texture of it, and that it's 3D. I really actually kind of like everything about it except for the color. See, I didn't even know if I was going to use those flowers that I pulled, but I ended up liking the shape of this one. And since my piece is really 3D, I can't lay things flat. So I had to use my little 3D stickers there and kind of, I don't know what you would say, bump up one side to make it look flat. Because if not, it would just be a bunch of mess, even more of a mess than it already is. And I try not to think about it too much. Um, I noticed a while ago that if I do think about these things too much, then it's never going to get done, and it's more than likely not going to turn out the way that I want it to. And here it is. Um, I guess I did it off camera. I tend to do that a lot. I turn the camera off and then I come back to it and work on it without turning the camera back on. But uh, or maybe even my camera had stopped. Sometimes it does that. So right here I'm gessoing it. I want some of the color to show through, but I don't want all of it. I want it to be pretty uh, neutral and matted out. The only thing that I'm not going to paint here is, of course, the canvas, the background, the color that I did, uh, the straws that I've already gessoed, and um, the string, and then the picture frame piece. But I'm going to basically wipe out a lot of the color because I don't really like it. It doesn't match. But I like all the shapes that are there and all of the texture that's there. So that's what I'm doing here. And really what I should have done was gesso it before I put it on, but I didn't really know that that's what I was going to do until after it was already together. But you see how some of the color is still showing through. There's still actually quite a bit of color, but it's all, I guess, matted out is what you could say. There's a little bit of that lollipop that's just a little too much of that red that's showing through that I am not liking at this time in the piece, but it eventually looks exactly how I wanted it to. Actually, I say how I wanted it to. I didn't really know what I wanted it to look like, but until about this point, and then I knew what I wanted it to look like. I knew what I was doing with it, which is funny because it's almost the end. So I do this underneath some of the pieces as well because since it is a 3D piece, if someone hangs it on their wall, you're not always going to face it head on. You're going to see it from the sides, and you'll be able to see a lot of that color underneath that I didn't get. So I wanted to make sure, see right there, I wanted to make sure that I got a lot of that color that was underneath too, because I wanted it to look like a finished piece, really. And I want whoever gets this piece to know that I thought about those little things like that for them. I want them to know that I do think about those things. I think about it being in their home and how it's going to look from all sides. So this is why I gessoed it, so I could go over with my sprays and give them a little bit of the color from the background. Even though I'm coloring them like the background, they actually stand out quite a bit. And I didn't spray the whole thing. I still wanted a little bit of that white to show through. And actually, I believe what happened here was, and it looks kind of green, but it kind of turned a little brown, which is the color that I actually used was more of a brown color. But it, because it's so uneven, it starts to spread downward. The gravity pulls it down, and so I end up having to spray it again. But that's okay. And I actually really like this because when I sprayed, it kind of, you can see it on the bottom flower, it gave that shape underneath. So it kind of acted like a stencil when I sprayed, which I kind of thought was really cool. I liked that. And here comes the wood pieces that I put my stain wax stuff over the top. I was going to use them in the actual piece, but I decided to use them more like a frame than anything else because I felt like the piece was not finished. But I feel like with these, they frame it really well, and it feels more finished to me. I'm just using a little bit of hot glue for this. It doesn't need much, because if you put too much on, it's going to end up pushing out of there, and then you're going to see a lot of it. I know I said I like to see some of it, but I don't want it to look messy, and like I just was careless about it. Because I really try to think about what I'm doing when I'm doing it, even if I don't know where I'm going. When I'm doing it, I try to make sure it at least looks good. Um, well, to my liking, anyways. It's hard to make something that everyone is going to like. So I wanted to push down on it. The reason I lifted it up is because it is a canvas and I didn't want it to warp the canvas at all. So I put my hand underneath there to put the pressure on it instead of the canvas. So, and this is the end. I hope you guys enjoyed Spark Saturday. Bye.